Hi, welcome back to another weekly update for Novus Bestiary. So last week I started with an overview of all the pages I decided this website would include, and we'll start this week again with that. But first, I just want to say overall, I feel like I didn't have a great week. There are many reasons for this, but mostly I just kind of felt distracted with other things, and I didn't see the progress I hoped to see on this project this week. But I think it's just a good reminder to not let one week like that throw you into a funk. If you just keep pushing forward and looking back at what you achieved over a longer period of time, you can still feel like you're moving towards your goals. And in fact, I think looking back on this week, probably I'll see that I did get more done than I thought. Anyway, so thanks for letting me vent. Let's start with a quick overview. So this is now the prototype of the homepage. This is all brand new. Last week, the homepage was just a single word or name. So now we've got this kind of a layout going down into these 4 tiles and then a completed footer area here. We can go browse the glossary, which looks pretty much the same as it did last week. And then as we step into the creature pages, you can see they're starting to become a little more finely tuned. This one's one of my favorite because it's got this illustration by this awesome illustrator named Dana Braga, who's on Twitter. She did some work with me on the Novus Bestiary newsletter, and this is definitely my favorite illustration for the basilisk. So this all goes down back into that footer, and everything's working pretty well now across all different devices, as you can see. Yeah, so just ironed out a few kinks there. And then we also had the about page, which I haven't done yet, but I don't think it's terribly important compared to the creature pages, the homepage, and the glossary. Right, so I want to talk a bit more about this homepage, which took some energy this week. Went through a few wireframes, which I shared last time. This is the concept I ended up moving forward with. And so it's very much focused around creating a strong impact with huge visuals. So what's going to be key to this working is me finding an illustrator to work with to design images custom for this project. Right now, all of these images you see here, which I think just I threw in, but they look great already. All of these were images I simply lifted from ArtStation as placeholders. So I don't actually own the copyright to this stuff, and I would never steal an artist's work. These are here as placeholders only to inspire the design work. And actually, I want to give them some credit because I think they're so great. So this one on the top, I'm absolutely in love with. This is a placeholder I pulled from this illustrator named Anato Finstark from Paris. Her work is incredible. I've reached out and hopefully she'll work with me on actually making this custom for the bestiary. These interesting little letter graphics here are from Raluco from Germany, who has a bunch of these really cool fairy-like creatures on the profile. And this picture over here for the random creature. Oh, this is also a new feature I shipped this week. You can just pick a random creature. So that's kind of cool. It kind of supports the random exploration and serendipity that I'm going for with this project. Anyway, the background image there is this like Norse village, and I pulled that from this user Sparth, who it turns out is the art director for Halo, which is pretty cool. So you can imagine a lot of incredible work here, incredible world building and environments, and I find the use of color particularly interesting with this person's work. So thank you so much to those artists for letting me use their art as my inspiration and placeholders as I work towards this design. So this leads me into one of the big challenges of this week, which is starting to look for freelancers. And I knew this would be hard, but it proved to be even harder than I thought. It's just such a huge time sink to try and find freelance illustrators and designers who are of the caliber I want to work with and who have also the availability. So I expect this is going to be what ends up being the bottleneck on this project. I'm hoping to be feature complete by the end of next week, but I'm expecting the search for just the right illustrator, and I assume it takes a long time to create pieces like this. I'm expecting it to take quite a lot longer than I originally thought. So I think probably this website will be done, but without the art assets finalized, and I'll have to kind of wait there and then decide whether I want to launch with temporary art, which I probably don't, or just wait. So that is a huge challenge. I tried putting a call out on Twitter, and what I did was I created this project brief, because I know from experience working on a freelancer marketplace that a really clear project brief is incredibly important to help make the connection between you and a freelancer. So my project brief has some background context about the project, and then a few kind of, I guess, job postings for like different types of illustrators I'm looking for. I'm looking for a letterer to help me with the logo, and also to help me with these cool like monograms. I want to have illustrated monograms to give it that sort of bestiary feel. And then I have a posting for like an illustrator to do the concept art, and that'll be focused on that homepage, like these pieces. And then I figured, why stop there? I don't think it's sorry, just a few more details actually. So these are like really highlighting like exactly what assets I need and how many. They go into detail about like some ideas I have around art direction, and then I even for the concept art have like included a mock-up to give a sense of what it is I'm really asking for. Compensation, I felt I should call out that I really do want to pay artists what they're worth. A challenge for me right now is I don't know what these artists are worth, so I have no idea how much an illustrator who's at this level in the industry, like an Atto, how much they would charge for their work typically. But I did want to just call out that, I have some funding and I'm willing to pay for good work. Something I think that's incredibly important and sadly not seen enough in this industry. So put a piece about that, and then just for fun, because why not, I added this thing about the perfect candidate, which was just like, I think hopeless, but just in case the right person found this, I wanted to highlight that if I could find one designer to work with who could accomplish all of these things, that would be incredible, because that simplifies the collaboration process, and I think just makes life easier for everyone. But of course, I'm not really expecting to find one person who can handle all those different elements, but we'll see. And then I'm starting to add references to art that is interesting to me to kind of hone in on some of the styles that I like. So when you're looking to get help with freelancers, this like project brief, super important. Be as detailed as you can. I hope mine helped. One big problem I ran into, though, is I tried to put the word out on Twitter to find the help. And so I created this little tweet to say, like, here's what I'm looking for. And I wanted to link to this project brief, but then Twitter blocked me. It wouldn't actually let me share a tweet with a link to a Google Doc because it has some algorithm or something that seems to be marking that as spam. So I had to get rid of the project brief from the tweet and then just ask people to direct message me. And then people who reached out that were interested, I responded in kind with the project brief. So it added a little more workload for me. The other thing I've learned about Twitter, having tried this twice now, is I don't think it's totally a lost cause, and I'm going to keep experimenting with it. But so far, what I'm finding with my account is most of the artists I reach who are interested are either way off base and like didn't really seem to grasp what it was I was looking for, or they're not quite yet at the level of craft skill that I'm looking for. So I think to get this sort of like top of the industry level artists, I'm probably going to have to start exploring different places to find them. So one that seems to pop up all the time is this thing called ArtStation. So I'll probably experiment with ArtStation, but it does cost quite a bit of money to start an account like as a company, and I'm just like one person doing side projects. So not sure how that'll fit, but I might have to experiment with it to find these sort of like top of the industry freelancers. But of course, the other way will just be straight hard work. So what I've started doing this week is building out my own database of freelancers. And I will just manually add people and track them and tag them as I do the hours and hours of sort of browsing the internet and finding profiles like these ones. So that's like sort of like a long-term investment, but I think for the type of work I want to do with Sword and Source, it's going to be an investment that pays off. So I'm going to start working on that. And this week really did teach me to build out a freelancer network. Super awesome thing to have. What else? The only last two things, I'll talk quickly about some feature decisions I made. One is you'll notice the homepage here, the prototype, it doesn't have a search bar. Now, search is something I would expect to have on this website. It's something I think most people expect to have on like every website. But the problem is search is kind of hard to build and it's hard to get right. And when I think about the Bestiary and what I'll be launching with, what I have is a collection of creatures. I have a collection of creatures who, I don't know why this isn't working. Some sort of a bug here, maybe? Anyway, I have a collection of creatures that I write about each week as much as I can. And right now that collection's only at about 30 creatures. So it's very likely that someone would arrive here and type in a search bar for something that is not actually on this website yet. So that's one reason I decided to de-scope launching with a search bar. What I would need to do then is like anticipate that failure case and then probably bring users to some sort of search results page that would offer them alternatives, like maybe monsters who might relate to what they searched for. And then that's, again, a complicated feature to think through and build. There's other ways I could have done this. Like I think the search could just have sort of an autocomplete feature to avoid people getting into that situation where they find that they can't find what they're looking for. But what I decided was simplest and would help me get this launched more quickly was to just not worry about search for now, focus on browsing all these different ways. This glossary should give a really nice quick overview of like the catalog of monsters. And then as the collection grows in the future, I can come back and integrate search. So that was I think, good decision made this week. The other thing I'm starting to think about is what's going to happen to the newsletter. So right now, Novus Bestiary is only a newsletter. You have to subscribe, and then weekly I send these emails with the new monsters. I still really want this newsletter to exist, and I want subscribers to really get extra value from it. I want them to be sort of like the inner circle. And so I need to start thinking of ways to continue providing value to convince people who find this website to subscribe. And so currently my only idea, but it requires very little effort to kind of launch with, is that the subscribers will always be getting exclusive sort of, they'll always be getting creatures delivered to their inbox before they're published on the website. So if you subscribe to this newsletter, you'll be ahead of the curve. You'll always be getting things first. And then what I'm also starting to experiment with in my head is like exclusive content. So far, a couple of my newsletters have been these collections of monsters rather than highlighting a single creature. So I decided I could make those collections exclusive to the newsletter. So for now, I won't build collections into the website. I'll keep them only as something I send to newsletter subscribers. And then to sort of give additional interest and try and kind of tip someone over the edge here, I also I'm offering then, as soon as someone subscribes here, they'll receive the Significant Spiders trilogy that I wrote right away in their inbox. So that's really cool, because I think it's interesting. I worked pretty hard on that trilogy, and it's just a nice, interesting bestiary thing you get right away for subscribing that no one else sees on the website. So that's some thinking there has begun. I think I'm going to expand this further and start to think more about what I can offer subscribers that's above and beyond what's just on the website. And then, yeah, got the Sword and Source logo up here in the footer, and that's about it for this week. So thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, feedback, or comments, please feel free to get in touch, and I'll do my best to answer them quickly. Thank you.